Did you know that the US Olympic swimming team performed to the Final Fantasy VIII music at Athens 2004? You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the TheXboxHub.com. For all the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos, and opinions, make sure you visit the TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello, and welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode 168. My name's Gareth Briley. I'm going to be your host, and on my virtual left is Mr. James Burks. How you doing, James?
Hey. I'm half asleep, but I'm here. How are you?
Very good. I'm fully awake. Good. On my virtual right is Mr. Richard Dobson. How you doing, Richard?
Hello. Good, thank you. How are you?
Very good, very good. And on my virtual opposite, Mr. Darren Edwards. How you doing, Darren?
Good afternoon. I'm very well. Yourself, Gareth?
Yeah, I'm good. Good.
Good.
It's cloudy here. The sun's gone, but not.
Yeah.
Not our
feeling that.
Not our passion. Not our summer passion, whatever that might be. We can tell we've had a week break. I forgot what we're doing. Let's talk about what we've been doing this week. James, what have you been up to?
Well, last week I was able to attend a digital showcase for Outright Games. So I got to see some gameplay from the new Jumanji game, Wild Adventures, Paw Patrol World, which I had no clue what was going on, but it looked fun. I'm sure the kids will enjoy it. There's a Baby Shark game coming out, a Grinch game, and a new Transformers game. I'll do an article on the site if anyone wants to read it. They all seem very child-friendly games. I think anyone could play them, to be honest. Gareth, if you want to give it a read.
Good.
Yeah, it was a good hour. Nice little showcase.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I watched the film at the weekend.
Oh, go on.
Sorry, Gareth.
No, I've never played a Transformers game. Maybe this is the one to get me going into it.
Absolutely. It'll have the difficult settings that'll suit you.
Good.
Don't worry.
That's what
Like your helping hands.
That's what I like to hear.
And I watched a film called The Witch, which is a sci-fi horror. And it's really fantastic. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend it. It starts with some genetically enhanced kids getting killed. And then it goes to a bit of a mellow farm drama, and then goes up again to an action thriller horror. It's a really good 2 hours. Yeah, watch it, guys.
What's this on?
Wow.
I've never heard of this film.
It's called The Witch. It's on Shudder, no streaming platform.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's very, very good.
Okay, good.
There's a sequel. Oh yeah, watch them.
Watch The Witch. Okay. Richard, what about you? What have you been doing?
Well, I was going to talk about Barbecue Showdown on Netflix, but I did something terrible last night, and I need to get it off my chest.
Oh, God.
So for the past 2 years, I think now, we've had a frog living in our garden. And I came home drunkenly on Friday and saw it for the first time this year in our driveway. So I was chasing it around with my torch on my phone, trying to get a decent picture of it around the car. If anyone would have looked out and seen me, they would have wondered what I was doing. And then I saw it again last night as I was pulling into the drive. I saw it at the end of our drive, sort of jumping around. So I thought I would give it lots of room. And then I would go get another less drunken picture of it as I got out of the car, but I couldn't find it. And then I checked under the car and I just saw its leg popping out from under the wheel.
Oh my word!
No. And I genuinely felt terrible.
Oh, Richard! Oh no! I don't know. Well, I think we should end the podcast now in memory of this frog.
See you next week.
Just have 60 minutes silence.
Yeah.
In memory.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, Richard. Why have you got frogs on your driveways there?
I don't know. There's no water around here. I can't think of any neighbours that have got a pond or a water feature. It's
Someone's
just
pet.
Yeah.
Well, it was.
Oh, that makes it
Yeah.
worse.
If anyone knows why Richard's got frog problems with no water around, please write in.
Infected by
Yeah.
any of the issues on this
Yeah.
podcast, then
Oh,
no, that is sad.
well, you've
Can
brought
we move on?
You've brought us all down, Richard. Thank you. Oh dear.
You're welcome. Welcome to my world.
I wish we had barbecue showdown, as long as they weren't barbecuing frogs. Right, Darren.
Frog's legs, anyone?
Oh yeah.
Hello, yes. So I've been watching, well, for a few weeks now, but it's coming towards the end of the series, a drama called Silo, which is on Apple TV, which has been really, really good. For those who don't know it, it's set underground, a community that are shielded from the outside world because it's hostile and not safe, and they've got this community that's been going for seems like 100 plus years, and then as it goes on, there's conspiracies, people are trying to find out the truth, there's relics from our time now, like Pez dispensers and things that are treated as artifacts and are banned, and it's quite it's like a kind of a mystery thriller, and it's got Rebecca Ferguson as well, who's brilliant, so I would really recommend it. I don't know if we've all got Apple TV, but it's brilliant. We were chatting a bit about it the other day, and there's been loads of good dramas on there at the minute, like consistently hitting them out the park. So I'd recommend that. And then the latest Marvel TV series started last week, Secret Invasion. It's been waiting for a bit of Samuel L. Jackson to come back into Marvel. And the first episode was okay, but the end, I won't spoil it. It was unexpected, and I was a bit disappointed by it. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's not gonna. If you're bored of Marvel, it's not gonna bring you running back. But we'll give it a chance and see how it goes, I guess.
It's interesting because Silo is great. Yeah, I love Silo. I think it's brilliant. It's been renewed for season 2. I think people loved the books as well when they came out. So I think it's a big fan. It's interesting with Marvel because I think I haven't seen it yet. It's had the lowest audience rating of all the things that for the opening thing. And we've talked about it before. I think people maybe are just a bit. I think it's got a bit of. It's just not got that energy it once had, or it hasn't got the people have just lost interest. Do you think that's fair?
I think you're right. I mean, I said it before on the podcast. There's going to naturally be some fatigue because Iron Man came out in 2008, I think it was. So it's been a long time. But I do think that there was a clear arc to the first 3 phases with Thanos and stuff, and in this phase 4 and 5 that we're in now, there's so many loose ends and so many characters popping up in post-credit scenes that it's just impossible to keep track of it all. And kind of, as you say, I've kind of lost the kind of willingness to do so. So I don't know how they're going to tie it all up, because obviously there's the controversy with Jonathan Majors, who's supposed to be the big bad, the Thanos of this series of films and things. So yeah, I think they're in a bit of a sticking point. I think it could do with a break, to be honest, like the pandemic. I think people could wait for a year or 2 before any more, but we'll wait and see. They may turn it around yet. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay. What have I been up to? Oh yeah, I watched a series called I Am Virgo, and I Am Virgo is on Amazon TV, and it's by a musician, actor, director called Boots Riley, and the premise is I Am Virgo is a giant baby is born. So it's like, and this couple who's the brother sister gave birth to the baby, obviously died because it's huge, and they're looking after this baby, but they're keeping it secret from the world, and it grows into a 13-foot man. And they sort of keep it secret from the world, and then he gets to about 19 and he wants to go out into the world, and he does, right? And that's the kind of premise. And in this world, there's a sort of person called the hero, which is basically someone who used to draw comics and now has turned into a superhero, almost like an Iron Man type thing. And that person's looking for a villain, and but I'm making it sound straightforward. It's not. And you know me, I love weird stuff, and I watch a lot of weird stuff. It's very weird. So, and Bruce Riley is a kind of genius as well. He's absolutely amazing in his stuff. It's quite political as well. It's really anti-capitalism completely. It's something they just sort out. But they do stuff on. It's a kind of. I think it's a comment on superheroes. It's a comment on kind of a journey about capitalism, about kind of big corporations, but also a journey about cartoons. It is kind of amazing. It's 7 episodes. They're about half an hour each. It's worth, you want to try to something different, watch it. That's what I'm going to say. The effects are great as well. There's a sex scene in it. Unbelievable. Okay, right, but in a weird way.
Sold.
Yeah, there you go.
Politics.
I'm really
accent,
excited.
right.
Yeah, but it's very good. I am Virgo on Amazon. Good. Let's go straight into games before we do anything else. Games we've been playing. Now, because we haven't really talked about games we've been playing, because we had all the conferences, didn't we, before this? So let's do Richard first of all, because you can do the big one, Richard.
Final Fantasy XVI then, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So that came out last Thursday. So I've had it now for just about a week. I'm not too far in. I don't know how far you are with it, Gareth.
I've stopped for a bit because I'm playing review games, but I think I might be about 5 or 6 hours in. I think, yeah.
All right, I think I'm a bit further then. I'm just on my way back to Rosalia, the place where you start the game.
Oh right, no, I've just been in the forest. I've done all that stuff. Having a big battle. That's all I'm doing is having big battles. Yeah.
All right. So I'm just trying to not to spoil it too much,
No.
but from what I've played so far, it's very, very good. I'm really enjoying the combat. I think the world is excellent. The writing and the voice work is brilliant. Is it a true Final Fantasy though? I think that's the big debate that's raging online at the moment. It's very light on RPG elements, and I would fully agree with that. I think there's only 4 items that you use necessarily. There's like no Phoenix Downs or anything like that. There's potions and tonics, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is like a crafting material. So what I have played, I'm not seeing the RPG elements of it necessarily at the moment. I mean, obviously there's a skill tree, but I think every game basically has a skill tree now, whether it's an RPG or not. So perhaps those traditional RPG elements, because they've just been incorporated into every other game, sort of feel a bit diluted here. But the combat, whilst it's not turn-based or anything like that, is brilliant. Like the guy that did the Devil May Cry combat has had a hand in this one. And it's not necessarily as you juggling enemies for as long as possible and doing crazy combos, but there's a lot of depth to it. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think they tried it with Final Fantasy XV, this action RPG, but it never really quite clicked. But this time they've got it absolutely nailed.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Say?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think the story is very strong. The voiceover work is really strong as well. All these kind of British actors in there, and I think and it's very much it's really grown up, isn't it? So it's like it's quite a shock first 5. You're basically there's a lot of killing, swords are going in, some nudity, so it's like. It's a grown up. It's like someone compared it to Game of Thrones. They've watched a lot. They said they watched a lot of that. So swearing in it. So it has a very different feel, and it's a really strong story. And they use the idea of the what are they called, the variants? Are they the creatures, the summons,
icons?
Icons. Yeah, they put that into the story really well. I think this idea that each person, a human, is like a conduit for these things, aren't they? And they become them.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I noticed in like previous entries that they sort of not used them as much as they could have done. Like 15, they only appeared when you were in dire need of them. 13 you could summon them, but they weren't necessary. I think the last main single player one that really used them was 10, and that incorporated them in quite a good way as well. But here they used really well. So if you're a dominant, if you have the ability to become one of these icons, the summons from the series, and then every so often they have these icon battles.
Yeah.
I've done 2 of them. The second one is like, without spoiling it a bit too much, it's basically like a match of Street Fighter or Tekken. It's absolutely brilliant. But they've been really good so far. I've heard like a lot of people saying that the PlayStation 5s have heated that much during these icon battles that they've had to cool down and turn off for 10 minutes.
Really? Wow.
I can sort of see why, because they are so intense and visually intense as well.
I think when you get into a rhythm of it, I think you do go. It's quite linear. It's a linear journey at the moment. It might open up, but I've got a feeling it doesn't that much. You've got quite a linear journey, and it's fight, boss battle, fight, boss battle. And I'm saying that because actually it's that quick. Isn't that right? It's not just like you're fighting through an area and you do one big boss. You're doing a few boss battles in that area. That's fair to say.
There's very, very frequent are the bosses.
Yeah. And that's not a bad thing.
They're all very good.
Yeah, because the combat's great. So, and the story's good. So, I'm really enjoying it. I'm just ashamed I had to kind of stop for a bit. And I did stop for a bit. The only thing I would say is you've got the main story, which is, I think, good, but you've got these terrible side quests. Like, I really don't like, can you just go and get some wood from over there? All right, yeah. I thought, this would be interesting. I'll go and get some wood. And it's going to lead me somewhere else. You know, it will be like, I haven't got the wood. You have to go into this cave or do that. No. The wood's over there, standing by the side. All right.
Yeah.
I got the wood then. I'll just carry the wood out. Oh, yeah, that's done. What?
Or can you deliver these 3 meals to the people that are sat right in front of me?
Yeah. And they're not giving you any secrets or anything. They're just like, thank you very much. And you're like, oh. Yeah, so I think people have been a bit like, okay, the side stuff. I mean, we're only a little way in, so it's a big old game. But yeah, I think it's great. I'm really enjoying it. It looks wonderful as well.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so I'll be interested to see. And I like the main the characters. I like that's a good thing. If you like the people, you're kind of fighting for. So that's good. Good. Final Fantasy XVI. Still going on. I don't know what I'm saying. Darren, what have you got?
Oh dear. I've been playing something quite different. So the first game I'm talking about is Amnesia: The Bunker. So this went up, and I think there's a few people hesitant to play it. So I kind of said, yeah, why not? I remember playing the first one. I think it was back in 2010 at a friend's house and being absolutely terrified of it. So this is the third one now, and it's set in the middle of World War One. So you're kind of thrown into a trench warfare battle, trying to help a friend who's been wounded, and then before you know it, you end up in this underground, seemingly deserted, disused bunker, and there's something else down there, and you basically have to find a way out of the bunker, and it's very, very like visceral in terms of how it's done. So, for example, there's a generator when you get to like your main safe room, but you have to find canisters of fuel to power it up, and then you've got a little clock, and then when that runs out, all the power will go down in the bunker. You've got the use of lighting and shadows it looks amazing, and it sounds brilliant as well. So if the creature, you can hear it kind of above you or behind you or coming through the walls, and you can track it because dust might fall down from the ceiling, and there's little holes near the floor where it might emerge from. Your heartbeat gets going as well. It's one of the best horror games I think I've ever played, just in terms of how it makes you feel. And I played it for quite a few hours at a time as well, and I was physically tense and sweating after playing it. It was that immersive, because you kind of get to learn and listen out for the calling cards of if the creature's going to emerge or what it's going to do, but there's no predictable pattern. The AI is quite clever in how it changes, and you can pick up revolvers and things, and you can ward it off temporarily but you can't actually stop it. So you've got to be really clever, and ammo's really scarce. It's just brilliant. And then you get loads of logs that tell the story of what's been going on down there. You find them as you explore. So it's probably it's fairly short. It's about probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 hours, but it is brilliant while it lasts. The only thing is there's like a final encounter, if you like, and it just feels a bit out of place in terms of pacing.
Right.
That's the only thing I'd say. But for the most part, it's absolutely superb, and it's on Game Pass, so I would recommend it if you can take it.
What have you given it?
4.5 out of 5. I've given it. I was really impressed, and I was really impressed because it's not just one of those games that's got a gimmick or it's terrifying and you'll play it for an hour and turn it off or whatever. It's very kind of easy to get sucked in, even though you're terrified for most of it. You want to carry on playing. It's very well designed and very well crafted.
Oh, I'm going to give that a go. Brilliant. James won't. James, tell us about what game you've been playing.
I'm playing Amnesia. No, I haven't. I'll go with Last Labyrinth.
Okay.
Lucidity Lost, my first one, and it's like an escape room style puzzler. And you start the game and it's completely dark, and you're strapped into an old wheelchair, and you've got this laser pointer on your head, and you have to press a button to get the laser pointer to work. And basically, you guide this girl to do everything for you in the rooms using the laser pointer. And the puzzles are like a mixture of lights out, a little bit of algebra. We ever played Cut the Rope, the PC game?
No, yes, I have. Yeah, I have. I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah,
it's a version of that. And if you do something wrong, the girl dies and you die. So you have to try again. And it's supposed to be a horror, and the death scenes are quite brutal, but it was a VR game, and without that immersion you get from a VR game, it doesn't really feel that scary, if you know what I mean? And this girl's just completely clumsy as anything, and so you get irritated by her anyway. So you think, oh well, I'll make a mistake. It's not my problem. Yeah, there's a few different routes to go down. It's quite a lot of puzzles. But like I say, it doesn't quite manage to hit the mark. And then there's a game they keep repeating in one of the rooms, which is like a chess game for kids. But it's Japanese. And it doesn't tell you the rules. It just shows you the tiles. It says, win the game. I'm like, what? It's called Let's Catch the Lion. I never heard of it before. And you've got to do that multiple times. So that was quite irritating. So yeah, it was alright. Nothing special.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Could you teach us how to play? What was it? Let's Catch the Lion. If we asked you to.
I could now.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Now I've played it endlessly. It's only 4 tiles. It's pretty quick once you work out what the heck's going on.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know a game's good when it's got a little bit of algebra in it.
That was the best bit.
Magic ingredient.
That was the best bit, mate.
Wow.
I'm not
Okay.
kidding.
Good. Wow. Okay, good. There we go. Last
I gave it
11.
3
Oh, did you?
out of 5.
Good. Very good. Did I chat about Layers of Fear? I don't think I did I? I think I said I was playing it in one of the things, but I did say... So I've reviewed Layers of Fear, and Layers of Fear is the updated version of Layers of Fear 1 and Layers of Fear 2 and all the DLC packs. But in between, it has, in this new version, it's been upgraded, so sound, visuals, some gameplay elements now. You've almost got like a weapon, like a torch you can use to repel things back or move mannequins. But also there's Unreal Engine 5. It's one of the sort of like very rare games that have come out on Unreal Engine 5. So all the lighting and everything else looks amazing. And what they've got in between, they've got this... So the first game is about really about an artist and about the madness of an artist in this kind of old turn of the century house with relation to his family. The second Layers of Fear was about film. It was about an actor who arrived a ship into the ocean to do a film that was it real or was it not? And it goes into this kind of, but it's about filmmaking and acting. One of the first ones about art. There's in this new one, there's a sort of like a bridge gap. So what bridges are two stories. You're a writer, and you arrive at this lighthouse to kind of write your novel. You're a sort of famous writer, and something's happened to your family, and then you are trying to put these novels. But basically, you're writing the first layers of fear and the second layers of fear. That makes sense. But in between, you're sort of haunted by the same things that are linking those two games. So instead of just doing a kind of a sort of remaster or just a remake or just upgraded, they've kind of put this extra bit in as well, which is kind of interesting. That's a bridge between all these games and gives an extra bit of story and narrative. I was a big fan of these games when they first came out in 2016 or something, and 19. I loved them. And so it's very, never go back. I've gone back all year long. I've ruined that thing, what shall I say. And and it was great to play it again just to see kind of visually what they are. I couldn't remember any of it, to be honest with you. I could remember the odd bit. But because it's like both journeys are kind of like almost like a linear journey through. You're kind of just going through this kind of mad nightmare surreal world, so kind of beautiful and strange and stunning. There's kind of added bits of gameplay, like I said, like it's kind of in both things. There's kind of things following you. You have to kind of like try to escape or use a torch to put them back. But it's not really that combat heavy or anything like that. It's more about kind of exploration and this journey through. It's great, and I've given it my first 5 out of 5 for the year. I've done one this year. I know. I loved it. So if you haven't played Layers of Fear before and you like a kind of horror experience, this would be the one to give it a go with, I think. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Is a lot of content.
Is it on Game Pass, Gareth?
I don't think it is. I think it will be.
Okay.
I think wait for a bit. I've got a feeling it'll be on Game Pass. Not that long. Maybe the winter. But yeah, it's great. It's really good. James, I think you've played it or you've looked at it, haven't you? Or watched someone play it.
I played the first game.
Oh, you did?
And looked at some pictures on the wall and got an achievement, and then thought, that's enough for me, probably.
Profit.
Just a tutorial, that was as much I could take.
Yeah, it's quite frightening. There's some amazing kind of images in there. Amazing. Great. Let's move on. Richard, have you got another game for us?
Yeah, I'll talk about Crime Boss Rocket City.
Oh,
I avoided this one, didn't I?
I feel like I'm going to defend it a little bit because what I've played, I'm quite enjoying, if I'm being totally honest. It's a roguelite with a T, not a K, sort of payday rip-off. The single player campaign has you starting from scratch playing as a guy called Travis Baker, not Travis Barker. Can't remember which way around. Travis Barker's the drummer from Blink, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Travis Baker, who's Michael Madsen.
Oh.
And then you start from scratch, and then you've just got to build up your criminal empire. But it's full of 80s and 90s cameos. So there's Vanilla Ice, he's one of the baddies in it.
I know this.
Danny Trejo, Chuck Norris is the sheriff. Danny Glover is a detective. Just everyone like that is. So I think everyone sort of remembers this initial trailer. I think it was at the Game Awards or something, and then it just disappeared off the face of the earth. Came out on PC a few months ago and got absolutely slated. But it's arrived on consoles now, and the gameplay is incredibly repetitive. As James and Paul will no doubt testify when we had a session on it last week. But I do quite like the mechanics of it. So, as I said, you're trying to build up this criminal empire. You've got a map and you've got territories that you can take over by building up a resource of soldiers, and then send them in to sort of take over these areas. You do little odd jobs that gets you money, and then you can buy new team members and guns and stuff. So once all that's working, it does get you do get into like quite a good rhythm with managing these different resources and everything. Or that was until earlier on today. I was trying to take over someone's territory, and some guy came up to me and pistol whipped me and killed me instantly. But because I was playing as Travis Baker, that was that run over then. So I had to start from the very beginning.
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, what I don't understand about it is, what is it? Is it a GTA kind of game, or is it a?
It's like a payday clone. So you've got these missions that take less than 10 minutes. You basically need to go into a location, steal a load of stuff, and then get out of there, or go in, kill everyone, and then get out of there. So that aspect of it is very repetitive, and I'm not sure whether it would keep my attention for everything else. But in terms of like the little resource management side of it, it's quite addictive. You get different kinds of loot that you then need to check how that kind of loot is available. So like drugs, if the price of drugs is down, you're best off keeping hold of it and stuff like that. So there's lots of little things like that are quite good. But the main crux of it is just this repetitive gameplay. So I'm really not sure at this point. I'm writing the review for it at the moment. I'm not sure what score I'm going to give it.
Right. Okay.
It's one of those tricky ones.
Yeah. Go, Richard. Well, and you've played it as well, James. Have you? What do you think?
I have. I mean, it was challenging, and the AI is a little bit irritating.
It was challenging just because we were playing with Paul.
Yeah, he thinks like Gears of War. He's got a shotgun in his hand. But yeah, it had promise. I think having that big cast makes the cutscenes a little bit interesting and fun.
Right.
I don't think it's a great game, but it's not a terrible game.
Okay.
I think Richard's about right. There's bits of it that you would definitely enjoy.
Right.
But I think Payday 3 is going to be the pinnacle of these games in a few months.
Good.
When we all play it.
Yeah, we all going to play.
Made a pact.
Yeah, we did make a pact.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah. We did.
Good luck with that, guys.
Yeah, good luck.
You can join us too, Darren.
Yeah.
I'll just provide analysis. Don't worry.
Because one of us would definitely drop out. It's probably me. It's going to be me.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much, Richard. We won't be playing that. Let's talk about one more game, Darren. What have we got?
So keeping the horror vibe going, I have recently, just submitted my review actually, so it should be up hopefully by the time this goes out. Don't Go Into the House, it's called. So it's another kind of horror. It's billed as a horror stealth simulator game. So you play a couple of short prologue missions, but the main game is you're trapped in a murderer's house and you have to try and get out. Essentially, it's a bit like Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes, and it's a bit of a sandbox type situation. So you have to find certain items to unlock certain ways to progress and find your way out gradually, bit by bit, to escape this fella called the Butcher, who literally spends half his time in the house just endlessly chopping limbs on a little kitchen side bit. But then every now and then he'll peel away from that and he'll kind of patrol the house. And it sounds a bit cliched, but actually it's quite good. And I think it's enjoyable just because they really nail the theme. So the kind of, I'm hesitant to say gimmick, but the kind of pull, if you like, is that it's presented through as if you're watching an old VHS tape. So it's quite grainy in terms of visuals, so it really puts you in that kind of slasher era, like Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and all that. And the actual like kind of game engine looks like it's come from the PS1 era. So you think about the first couple of Tomb Raider games, that's the level of kind of graphical fidelity that's there. But actually, it is quite scary in certain parts as well, like similar to Amnesia. You kind of have to listen out for footsteps, and if you hide, your heart will start beating, but the screen will distort. You used to get those like white lines of videotape, like you'll get a load of that happening as well. And there's quite a low poly use of sound, so it's quite an immersive experience through that kind of retro viewpoint, if you like. And I did enjoy it. There's limited save points, so like ink ribbons in Resident Evil, you have to find videotapes to save, and the save room is up in the vent somewhere. So it can get a bit frustrating if you keep getting killed and you have to replay certain segments of the game. But alongside the butcher, there is Grandma, who goes around in an electric wheelchair trying to hunt you down as well, who can quite immaculately just get up and down stairs like it's no business. So it is a bit wacky, but I've played worse. So yeah, it's worth a look. I think it's around 15 quid though, so okay. It's not a cheap punt, but it's pretty good to be fair. I gave it a 4, so it is quite immersive what it tries to do. It doesn't feel like a cheap knockoff, but when you look at it at first, that's exactly what you probably think it is. But give it a chance.
Okay, and that's called Stay Out of the House. Right.
Oh yes, have I called it the wrong thing?
It's all right. That's what I normally do.
Stay out of the house, Gareth.
Yeah,
go into the house. Stay out of the house. That's what it's called.
It's bad if Gareth's calling you out on it.
Yeah.
I know. Good job, Paul's not here.
Oh dear. Good. That's good. I wasn't bringing it up. I was hopefully we were just going to carry on and you wouldn't even remember that you said the first bit.
I've just checked my copy and I have called it the right game in the actual review. So
good. That's good. Very good. James, what's your last game?
It's a game that I was looking forward to immensely, called Puzzle Quest 3. Now, you know I love my match 3 games. I'm a Gems of Warholic, just in case you didn't know. And this is a free-to-play version of Puzzle Quest. It's the 3rd main entry, and you're matching gems to make 3 or more. Any questions? No, joking. Now, they've changed the actual gameplay, because whereas in most of these games, you make a match, your opponent takes a match, and then you keep going back and forth, and then you cause damage by matching skulls. But in this, you have like a certain amount of action points to use in each turn. So you can make like 2, 3, 4 matches in one go, and then it goes over to your opponent. And I think that's okay if it wasn't for the fact that the opponent attacks every turn. It's a little bit unfair, because no matter what matches they make, they still get to cause you damage. It's a bit weird. But, you know, match 3's, it is what it is. If you enjoy it, it's good fun. There's loads of spells, loads of loot to collect, tons of game modes. But again, because it's a free-to-play game, a lot of microtransactions thrown in your face quite often. And the user interface is extremely clunky, because it is like a mobile game, the way it feels. But yeah, I think there's a lot to do. Don't quite get the gameplay spot on like it used to. I used to love Puzzle Quest games. It's not quite up there with the previous ones. Yeah, there's plenty to do. It's free. I'd say give it a go to like match 3. But be prepared to avoid the temptation of spending money. Because it will try and get you
Good.
at every corner.
You talked about that.
Any questions?
You talked about that a lot more than I thought you would.
Well, so are we.
It was very detailed. I liked it. Very detailed. Yeah. No, I haven't got any questions. Is Darren or Richard?
No, I like a puzzle game, but no questions.
No, good. The last game I'm going to talk about is a game called Burnhouse Lane, and I think it comes out today. It's definitely out this week. Burnhouse Lane is by a small team called Harvester Games, I think. I think it's 2 brothers who are kind of like made the game. One does all the game and writing, the other one does all the artwork. There's when you play games over and again, you go, and we're very lucky because we get to play a lot of indie games and games that we generally, if we weren't reviewing, we wouldn't ever buy. Probably, maybe that's that fair to say.
Yeah,
and that's the beauty of it. And so you do stuff and you go, oh my god, this is amazing. You find these kind of gems, and I think Burnhouse Lane tells a story. It's set in kind of England. You play a nurse whose partner has died of some illness, his husband, and you've got lung cancer. And it starts, the first bit of the game is that you're hanging yourself.
Oh wow!
Very clearly game, though.
Yeah, so that's the
just got over the
first.
frog.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. And then the rope breaks, and then you're fine. And then you get a call to be an agency nurse to go and look after in the countryside of this old man in a farm. And basically, you go to the farm, look after this old man called George, and you get these instructions like you have to make him a sandwich every day. So you have to choose how to make what ingredients to do. But then these strange things happen straight away down the basement. This is kind of strange, kind of like atmosphere, and you find yourself in this other world called Burnhouse Lane. And Burnhouse Lane is almost like a purgatory kind of world, full of people who are in between, who are dying, or like her, who died of lung cancer. And she finds someone called the Burned Cat, which is kind of huge cat, who basically says you have to kill these 4 people, and then the cancer can be taken away from you. So you go on this kind of like 10-hour journey to do that. It's a real mixture of kind of like reality into fantasy and back again. These strange characters come there, but what's really amazing about it, this kind of art style, they've sort of, the characters, it just looks unlike anything else. Just look Google it, and you'll have a look. It's called Burnhouse Lane, and you'll see it's just beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful at times. The sort of like the way it's drawn, it's like hand drawn art on kind of moving on a sort of 2D world that you travel across. It's exceptional. I really loved it. I've played it all the way through, sort of 10 hours in a couple of days. Really, so it got my attention. It's strange. There's a great thing when the save points are like we talked about ribbon things. The only way you can save is the ashtrays where you smoke for a bit, which I really liked. That's your saving, smoking, and then you go out.
Even though you've got lung cancer.
Yeah. It reminded me of Constantine a bit. Remember that Constantine, the comic book thing? He was always smoking. Mm-hmm. He had lung cancer as well. So it's it's exceptional. It's really, I found it great, and it's amazing. It's made by a small team. People are so good. People are so amazing. These kind of, I love these kind of small team developers doing everything themselves, like the music.
Absolutely.
Which brings us on to another kind of small developer that I got a chance to speak to this week about a game called Despote. I think I've said it wrong already. I think I said it wrong in the interview. I haven't. And we're gonna have a quick listen. We're gonna have a quick listen now. It's fantastic people from New York. We had a kind of chat about their new game, and here it is. Hi, Julian. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Could I just start by saying, can you introduce yourself and your role on Despelote? How do I say the name, first of all? Have I got this right? Despelote?
My name is Julian, Julian, but in Spanish. And my role is I'm the lead developer and designer of Despelote.
I was pretty close, wasn't I, on that?
Yes. And you said Despelote, right?
Ah, that's good. Right.
Yeah.
Could you give us a quick overview of the game?
Despelote is a game about soccer. And it's a game about basically kicking a ball around with friends as a kid. And it's all set in Ecuador, in Quito, which is where I grew up. And you're just exploring a park and kicking a ball around and getting into like mischief, and you're slowly absorbing like the conversations of the people of the park and the environment, and there's like a sort of subtle narrative that happens in the background.
And can you say, sorry, the town that you were brought up in the game? What's the name of the town?
Quito, Ecuador.
And how big is that place? Is it like a city or like a?
It's a big city. It's a capital. I think it's how many people are there? More than 2 million.
Wow.
It's a big city.
And I'm really interested in about how autobiographical it is. Is it about you at that certain time? Because it's set in 2002. Is that right?
Yes. So basically, it's set in 2001, which is basically when the qualifiers were happening for the World Cup of 2002, and that was the first time that Ecuador qualified to the World Cup. And for me, that's one of my earliest memories because it was like Ecuador is like such a tiny country. When we first made it to the World Cup, it felt like a big deal because we were finally sort of like in the world stage, and like people were paying attention to us, even though it was, I don't know, just soccer. So that's one of my earliest memories, and I have a feeling that like that being one of like my generation's earliest memories like had like a big impact on us because all of a sudden we felt like we can do it, like Ecuador can do it, which I don't know, my parents' generation like didn't have, for example. And yeah, it's like something that's like not very significant, obviously, like soccer, but it people really like latch onto it. And for me, I find that really interesting, and like how that sort of like the soccer like bleeds into like the rest of the culture, I guess.
I think that's really interesting. It's a very interesting thing about how football, and with soccer,
No, football.
it has it does change. Sometimes it changes countries, doesn't it? It changes other people's perception of countries, or it changes the country from within about how people are proud of a country or how they see their country and how and sometimes those big events change things, don't they? Do you think? Yeah.
Exactly, and I think it really like yeah, in Ecuador we have a big like football culture, and like as is the case in all of Latin America, really, and I think it's like something that people really just like, and I grew up like just watching it all the time, playing it like every day, and I wanted to be a soccer player when I grew up. Sorry, I'm using soccer, football interchangeably. Because here in the US, everybody says soccer.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I wanted to do that, and like for me, like it was like such a big part of it. But then when I came to the US, the culture here isn't like, nobody really cares about soccer really that deeply. So I like took a step back from it, and I wasn't playing as much anymore, and I wasn't watching it as much. And I think that distance all of a sudden made me realize, like, after a few years, I was like, oh, like, yeah, this was like a really important thing in my life, and now it's like not really there anymore. And like I was just like wondering like what the role of like football had been in my life. And so I guess the idea of the game, making the game, sort of came from there. And immediately as I started developing it, it like all of a sudden became about like my memories playing soccer and just kicking a ball around, and how that was so tied to the context. And I was also living in the US and missing Ecuador a lot. And so it became really this like sort of trying to like create this like or represent this like memory of growing up in Ecuador around this time, and how the soccer was like very central to it, but like, and how that sort of bled into everything else. So then ultimately in the game, it's not really like, okay, yeah, this happened to me exactly when I was a kid. It's more like this is like a very like blurry memory of that time, and all the characters, they're all played by like my family and friends. So when we were working with them and recording all the voices, they're all improvised. All the voices are improvised. All the conversations that people have, and so it was very easy for me to be like, okay, just imagine there's a kid, and that's me. And for example, the parents in the game are played by my parents, and they would just pretend like I was a kid, and so it sort of became a little like I'm the character in the game. And then so it's not like exactly like autobiographical, like this happened and this happened and this happened in my life, but it's more like this is the environment I grew up in, and I'm trying to capture that.
But and also you must have, because it's your parents and your friends, you must have had those conversations remembering that time as well in 2001.
Exactly. Yeah, it was very interesting to just like be like, oh yeah, remember that time, like what was happening in 2001 in your life? What was like what do you remember of like the country, the vibe of the country, and try to like capture that with people that remember it way better than I do, because I was a kid. I barely remember it, to be honest.
Yeah, of course. With the game itself, if I always hate to pigeonhole this, but in terms of gameplay, how would you describe that a little bit more?
What the gameplay is? Like,
Yeah,
how
the
I describe
gameplay is
gameplay?
it that it's got physics kind of based gameplay as well, hasn't it? As well as, like you said, kind of almost like RPG elements of talking to people.
Yeah, so basically, I would describe it as it's like first person exploration. Like you're running around in first person, and then for us it was very important to develop this like very physical interaction with the soccer ball. So when you're kicking it around, it feels it's in 3D, and it feels very physical. Because for me, yeah, this relationship to the ball, it's like the sort of the primary relationship in the game, and that yeah, it was important for us to like for that to feel very dynamic. And then basically you're not really having conversations with people, you're more just overhearing conversations. You As you explore the park and all the environments, the city, like a tiny block of the city, um, you're sort of overhearing these conversations, and
Right.
basically as if you're a kid, like a lot of these conversations you don't have the full context of, but it's they hopefully like give you a glimpse of like what sort of the place is all about. And yeah, you're just like running around as a kid, just like absorbing the world. um, and yeah, then there's like a sort of like a structure, like a narrative structure that sort of progresses you throughout the game.
It's got such an amazing kind of visual style. I kind of just love what I've seen so far.
Thank you so much.
And you use real photographs from the area. How did you do that? How did you come up with that thought?
Yeah, so basically, when I started on the game, I contacted this friend of mine that I really admired his work in Ecuador, and so I asked him if he wanted to make a game with me, and he had never made games before, but he came from like a 2D sort of animation background and 2D like graphic design, and he was also a musician, so he also makes music for the game. But basically, we were trying to figure out, because I was describing like it was very important for us for the game to be in 3D and it feel very physical that way. We were trying to figure out how to make it work with his 2D style. So, but once we tried first of all, the characters and the hand-drawn characters in 3D, they felt really expressive in a way that like really felt like captured the sort of the tone we were going for with the characters. Yeah, besides that, then the environments, we really liked this contrast and having it feel very like this fuzzy memory. So what we did is actually Sebastian, like he actually learned how to 3D model for this, and then what he does is he takes pictures of like a lot of buildings and a lot of like I don't know, important buildings that we like in Quito, little houses and stuff, and he then uses those buildings, or uses those photos to like create a model from them. And the models are very like they're not like obviously very like, I mean, they're photorealistic in the sense that they're literally a photo, but they don't look, like really like well, like, how do I describe this? They're basically like the whole aesthetic of the game is kind of noisy, and because of that, it was very easy to integrate like not great pictures, and actually like the rougher the picture looked, the better it looks within our style. Yeah. And also we felt like that had like the most personality. Like we didn't have to recreate the Quito, we could just like capture it and put it into the game.
It's like what's the word? It's like a symbolic version of what that person's vision of it is, rather than something like an accurate version of, say, something like Grand Theft Auto when they're doing, let's do that street goes like that. It's
exactly it's more like a symbolic, and as I said, like this whole idea of like this is a fuzzy memory. yeah, that's been sort of guiding us. And yeah, we were happy when we like sort of landed on this art style because it felt yeah, we really like this duality of the styles, as I was saying. And yeah, I don't know, I think Sebastian did like a great job, and it was really fun to like work with him and try to like make it his style, his 2D style, work in 3D.
Yeah, it's really lovely. It's really original. Music as well. You said Sebastian and you've worked on the music. How did you form the soundtrack? Where did it come from?
It came from, honestly, like I feel like Sebastian is. I really like his music. I've loved for a long time, and so it was like a thing where like okay, the big challenge for us was figuring out like the art style with him and how like it would look. But the music, like to him, I feel like it just comes so naturally. Like I would be like, okay, this moment might need a like more of like a soundtracky, like vibey feeling.
Yeah.
And then he just goes and like I don't know. Honestly, like usually he makes something and it's like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I was imagining. So to be honest, it's just been like really incredible to work with him. I really admire him. And yeah, we go back and forth, but the music has just like sort of come about naturally as we've sort of needed it in the game.
How's it been like working with Panic?
Panic has been very nice. Yeah, we were very happy to sign with them like about a year ago, and they've been very supportive. I think them liking the game really gave us a boost and confidence that the game could actually be successfully released. And it's really nice to just have their support. And so far, it's been great. I'm really excited to release it with them.
Great. Now, despelote, what does it mean? Has it got translation into English?
Yes, so there's no direct translation of despelote to English, but basically, despelote in Ecuador is a saying that you say like "esto está hecho un despelote" would mean like this is a mess. Like a phrase, and but pelota in Spanish means ball. So it's sort of like a play on words of pelota like ball and like this is a mess. The name actually came from like originally when I was like starting the game, I was like describing it to my mom, and like describing like how I wanted to like approach soccer in this like very like different way, and how like I wanted to deal with all these like subjects and whatever, and she was like, oh yeah, that sounds like a mess. Oh, that sounds like a despelote. And I was like, oh yeah, we were like, oh yeah, that's perfect. That's the name.
That's
and
great.
I feel like it was really nice to like just set that name very early on, and because it sort of did guide the identity of what the game would be. Like we were also like, we're not going to translate this. There is no translation, and that's sort of what we like about it. Like that's sort of what the game is, anyways. So that was very important.
I've got one final question for you. What do you think Ecuador's chances of reaching the 2026 World Cup? Will you be there?
I wish, I want to be here. It's happening here in the US. I think Ecuador has good chances because we have a very young team. I think in the last World Cup in Qatar, we had the youngest team, and they're all very good. And I think they're just getting older, and they're gonna get better. And my hope is that we start like a really good like Ecuador, and actually it's gonna be the best Ecuadorian team of all time. There is a problem with the qualifiers where because of some there was like this one player that like supposedly is Colombian, and there was like some weird paperwork, and we're starting the qualifiers with -3 points, which might be a challenge.
Right.
The qualifiers in South America are really hard because there's a lot of good teams. But honestly, I feel really confident that we have a good team. I think Ecuador can get far.
Because where are you based in America?
I'm in New York.
Ah, okay. So it's
it's
mostly on the West Coast, isn't it? The World Cup, is that right, or is it everywhere?
It's everywhere. I think
everywhere.
There is a few games here in New York or New Jersey, but it's everywhere. I think there's like 10 because this World Cup is going to be bigger. There's 48 teams.
That's right. Yeah.
So there's going to be like double the amount of games. It's going to be in Canada and Mexico and the US.
Maybe
Yeah.
Ecuador can be my second team. My first,
Yes.
yes.
That'd be great.
Now, when are
Right,
you? When's the game releasing on Xbox?
Next year.
Next year. So
Next year. We don't have a date yet, but we're pretty confident that it'll release next year.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for this. I'm really looking forward to playing it next year. It's such an intriguing concept, and it looks great. And I can't wait to get my hands on it. Thank you so much for spending some time today. Really looking forward to playing the game in 2024, and it's really good. Like I said, Ecuador's going to be my second team after England.
Nice.
The 2026 World Cup. Thank you very much, and good luck with the game.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was great talking to you.
Now, it's worth noting, just straight away this week, they've also, the 2023 Tribeca Festival, which is a big kind of like arts festival, film festival, big prestige. They got a special mention in the jury prize for that game as well. So, shouts out to them for that this week. What do you think? Any questions? Have you had a look at it? The game? It's not coming out for a while.
Yeah, I think just what you were talking about earlier in the podcast about Burnhouse Lane, I think it's got a very, very striking visual style as well. And I know when you were chatting to them about it, it's kind of almost like paper cutouts over really realistic environments as well. I've not seen anything quite like that. I was really taken aback by that. It really caught my eye.
Yeah, so kind of that the maps of the streets and playing around with that kind of artistic vision of that. Yes, it's kind of amazing. James, it's about football.
And it's about the build up to the 2002 World Cup, which I remember quite fondly. I'm still quite disappointed in your South American capital city knowledge.
Oh, that was bad, wasn't it?
And not very detailed.
That was bad. I was very embarrassed.
But yeah, I think it's semi-biographical, and it's a bit. Well, it is his life, but it's how he remembers it, isn't it? So it's a little bit different. But I think it'll be interesting and a nice little story, I think. I think football is just a way to channel that story.
Yeah.
I like the look of it. I'm impressed in the initial idea anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see how it turns out.
Richard, any thoughts?
Yeah, similar to what James has said, it's always like a World Cup or a Euro Championship sort of unites the country for a few weeks. But it's going to be interesting to see that from a different point of view for a country that qualifying for the first major tournament is such a big deal. Like, as an England fan, it's almost expected at major tournaments, but to see this different perspective and how much it means to them, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Great. Well, we look forward to playing the game in 2024.
What's it called?
I'm not going to say. I can't say it. I was so confident before.
Despelote.
That's the one. Thank you, James. I said it perfectly in the interview. Unbelievable. Great. Let's have a quick round up of the news before we go. There's not a lot going on at the moment. There's a big Sony and Xbox court case. I'm just lost interest. Who wants to talk about that? Anyone want to talk about this going on? I mean, it's just basically saying Game Pass is terrible. Xbox is going to buy everything.
Likes Game Pass.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I think Sony are worried. That's what it boils down to, isn't it?
Yeah. I was going to say the same. I think it's all they're airing all the dirty laundry in public, and there's a couple of interesting snippets like Elder Scrolls 6 is 5+ years away, etc. But most of it is just the kind of he said she said stuff, and I'm not getting kind of sucked into it like you guys. I'm not really bothered.
We sort of get involved in sort of like corporations arguing now, don't we? That's what I get a bit like about, finances basically. It's what this is about. And also it's so weird. I don't understand with the Sony argument. What I don't understand is Sony have got big games that they've got exclusives on, haven't they?
And Marvel.
Yeah.
Marvel Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they go, oh yeah, Xbox, do you want this? No, they go, no, we're having that.
I love how they're having this argument. I love how they're having this argument about how Xbox are buying up all these exclusives when they bought one literally last week.
Yeah, it's a very strange, very odd. I can't work it out.
It's a weird position that they're taking as well, because they're coming out with some ridiculous quotes.
Yeah.
It's almost like Jim Ryan's trying to get an early severance or something. I think he went out the way he's going on, because he's just making a mockery of PlayStation.
Yeah. It's all a bit unfortunate. Something I don't want to be doing. But we did get Xbox at a price hike. So there's been a price hike around the world, but in the UK, I think the Xbox Series X has gone up by, 20, 30 quid or something, isn't it? But
that's surprising.
Xbox Game Pass has gone up. If you just got the normal Game Pass, it's gone up by £1 a month. If you've got the Ultimate, which is, I think, generally what a lot of us have got, it's an extra £2 a month. Sorry, James, you said that's that's surprising. Tell me about what do you think?
I've never known any console come out and then go up after a few years. That's a weird thing to drop the price up.
Can I? Sorry, James,
go for it, Richard. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, because I work with where I work, we deal with components. A lot of them, similar components, go into Xboxes. So for the past 2 years, the state of the market's just been terrible. And whilst it's calmed down a little bit now, Xbox will have been selling them at a loss for so long that they need to recuperate some money on them. So I think that's why the price has gone up.
Too low. It started low, and now they're thinking, no, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
We need some money.
So how does that factor into the new Xbox Series S, is it, that's supposed to be launching? Is that going to put a further strain on demand for these components? Because they're launching like another kind of tier of that console, aren't they?
I think the market's in a much better position now than where it used to be. It was just the semiconductors. It was a perfect storm to do with COVID. So COVID happened, factories shut, everyone stayed indoors, started buying a lot more tech. There weren't enough components to go around, and it's taken this long to sort of get it back to a situation where it was almost pre-COVID. But like I say, now there's been lots done. Like new factories have been built, and they're coming online now, and everything else. So I think, it's sort of evened itself out a little bit now, and companies have been stockpiling these things and finished goods as well for a long time. So I think they can go ahead and say, look, we've got a new version of the Xbox Series S out now, and they'll be able to meet demand a lot better than when these consoles first launched.
Okay. What about Game Pass?
I'm not surprised.
No.
To be fair, I don't think it's a scandalous amount. I think we've all been long assuming there's going to be some sort of price rise coming down the line. I mean, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate since launch, I think no one can argue it's added lots of games, lots of day one games. I'm not surprised that it's gone up a bit.
Can I be devil's advocate? Don't keep wasting the money trying to buy Blizzard and Call of Duty and go to court for millions of pounds. Maybe save all that money and put it back into the casino.
You actually have to pay Activision money if it's not done by a certain time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's going to be a disaster.
Without getting too we're getting too political. I think the problem I have at the moment with everything's going up. Everything's going up, including your phones, your rent, everything. And at the moment, we've got a massive problem in our country when it's about rentals, and people are being chucked out of their homes and they can't do it because all the rent's gone up. But it's the people. It comes down to consumers again. People buying stuff. We can't go. I'm going to put my wages up because I can't do it.
No.
We have to sort of stay on the same way, and it's the same with everything else. It just becomes. I personally just think at this time it's not the right time to do that.
No,
probably it is for them. I can understand what Richard said about the console. That makes sense, but yeah, it's just. But it doesn't.
They tried it a few. I can't remember when it was when they tried to put Xbox Live up to 50 quid a year from 40 quid, but there was that much backlash about it. They changed their mind about it. So to then that was a good couple of years ago as well. So I think to then have this steady period, I don't think we can have too many complaints that because Has Ultimate gone up in price at all since it launched, or was it always at £10.99 a month?
I think it's always been at that, and that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
In terms of the offering has increased, I think, because they made a commitment with day one games. And I totally lean into the political side of it, Gareth. But on the flip side of that, I guess
I think it's
projections are
Absolutely.
for the next 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Like when they're going to have to pull the trigger at some point, I think.
But I think this is a problem at the moment. If you're looking at something, I think everyone is in a position now when everyone you talk to is going, "What can I cancel?" And it's like, what streaming thing can I cancel? What can I cancel? What can I do? How's a way of getting around something? Do I cancel and then I join again later on? There isn't any Xbox deals. They've got rid of most of those now. They're really rare. But it's hard for people at the moment. Even a couple of quid extra a month, people start to go, can I do that? Can I do this? Can I get rid of that? Mm-hmm. I know we're getting all this amazing stuff on Xbox Game Pass, not doubting that at all. But I think it just becomes too much after a while, I think, for people. That's enough of my soapbox rant.
But when is the right time then?
I don't think anything's the right time. When you're doing a £50 billion court case and then you're going, well, actually, we need a bit more money. I never think it's the right time, but that's my personal opinion. We don't reflect. I think it's very hard to ask people for money when you're spending money on stuff like that.
Does that mean that they start charging for the podcast then?
Oh yes, the podcast has gone up to 0.1p. Good, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Now, what are we looking forward to next week? Anything at all? James?
A haircut.
No, I'm getting a haircut as well. Yeah, good.
I'm currently 80s Bon Jovi, and I want to be mid-2000 Bon Jovi.
Nice, I like it.
Every trim.
Yeah. Darren, what about you?
I've got some really exciting news, actually.
Ooh.
On Sunday, I'm going for another carvery.
Brilliant.
Keeping it Bon Jovi 80s. So yeah, a load of us are going from work for a bit of a social, so that'll be good. But I am looking forward, on a serious note, to the Annapurna Showcase, which I believe is this very evening as you're listening to this.
We'll talk about it next week.
I thought that was really strong last year, so I'm really looking forward to what they've got to show this year.
Right, yeah, we'll talk about that next week. Richard, what about you?
That as well. Heard a few things already. Really looking forward to seeing them. And I am off to see Steve-O in his stage show on Saturday. So God knows what that's going to entail. But I'm looking forward to it.
Good. I'm going to go to the beach on Saturday. I haven't seen the sea for a long time, so I'm going to go there. That's going to be my highlight of the week. And rage into the dying light. My Xbox thoughts.
I'd say that sounds very somber.
It does, doesn't it? I like it. Thank you very much, gentlemen. If we need to get hold of you, where can we get hold of you, Darren?
If you want to get hold of my gaming politics hybrid feed on Twitter, my handle is @27Darren.
Great. What about you, Richard?
I am on Twitter and Instagram, and my handle is @Dobbo1912.
And James, what about you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and my tag is @OTBKO.
Good, and you can find me at GB Brian on Twitter and Twitch. But for now, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
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 You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You'll be able to find all the notes of this show at www.TheXboxHub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter @TheXboxHub and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.